Hello and welcome. I have another story for you today from the saints who built America, how sacred foundations shaped 200 years of U.S. history. Today we're going to be discussing the invention of the electric guitar and where it came from, a fascinating history. Bet you've never thought of it before, have you? Well then, shall we get into it? It began in 1927 by wiring a banjo to a radio speaker and producing the world's first electric guitar. This innovation would push sound and entertainment into the 21st century. The innovation was made and developed by Alvin McBurney, who was also a Latter-day Saint. The discovery popularized the technique of amplifying the guitar and later other string instruments. McBurney later took the stage name Alvino Ray to better fit with the Latin craze sweeping the nation in the 1930s. Ray possessed a talent for both music and mechanics. Born in Oakland, California, he is known as the father of the pedal steel guitar. This design innovation mounted the steel guitar on a stand, as you would a modern keyboard. And by the way, the steel guitar was also invented by a Latter-day Saint, a Hawaiian named Joseph Kekuku, from the Latter-day Saint colony on Laie, Oahu. His story is also contained in these pages. 6 pedals were then connected underneath. These bent and altered the pitch of each string, similar to the design of a harp turned on its side. This allowed for greater control over the instrument and for a greater range of sound manipulation. Ray enjoyed technical experimentation from a young age. He built his first radio at the age of 8 years old and soon became one of the youngest licensed ham radio operators in the United States. At age 10, he got his first banjo and started learning the guitar by age 12. But at 15, he had already combined his talents to create the first amplified electric guitar, cementing his legacy in the new age of music. Even so, he did not acquire a patent until much later and under a new design. Still, Ray remained a pioneer in the music industry, charting music hits by the dozen through the 1930s and 1940s, 7 of which made it to the top 10 list. But Ray still wasn't done with innovation in music and sound. It is said that Ray had his pilot's license before he had a driver's license. So, with access to various technical instruments, what else was there to do but see how to apply them to sound and instruments? By wiring a pilot's carbon microphone in reverse, essentially turning it into a speaker, Ray would place the device on his throat. By doing this, he was able to resonate the larynx and manipulate the sound through his guitar. He discovered that as he mounted words with the microphone on his throat, an electronic voice was produced. This became known as the talk box, and Ray would use this technique to create the first talking instruments in 1939. Near the same time, or soon after, a similar device was developed using the same principles. Called the Sonovox, the device was used by Disney to create a talking train sound effect for their 1941 animated release of Dumbo, the Flying Baby Elephant. The device would continue to be used in a variety of sound effects in the movie industry and inspire the electronic voice adaptation featured in Disney's world-famous Main Street Electrical Parade. However, Ray would continue using the device in his own way, making his instruments talk. As the years passed, Ray's innovations continued to be used to inspire new sounds and new styles of music. Today, amplified versions of many string instruments are available and used in the music industry. Ray formed his own band during the same year as his talkbox, which became the staff orchestra for the Mutual Broadcasting Network, featuring the 4 King sisters. The King family were by this time also famous Latter-day Saints, and Ray fell in love with Louise. They were married and Louise became the voice of Ray's talking guitar puppet, Stringy. To make Stringy talk, Louise would stand backstage with a carbine throat microphone attached to a piece of plastic tube running to Ray's amplifier. As she provided the words, Ray altered them in digital tones by sliding a steel bar along the strings of his guitar. Ray and the King sisters became an independent hit combination during the 1940s and 50s, and during the 1960s, they expanded their act to become the King family to include the King sisters, the King children, and the King cousins. Their television success ran through the 1960s and 70s, inspiring a new generation of family entertainers, such as the Jackson 5 and the Osmonds. They became known as America's first family of song. Now, how was that? It's a fascinating history that no one talks about. Of course, most have barely any familiarity with the innovations of different instrumentation over the years, and we could even ask the question, why should they? These things are ubiquitous in society. Who cares where they came from? But of course, the impact is apparent. These innovations, like the steel guitar, the pedal steel guitar, and the electrification of instruments, became the basis for what developed blues, country, and even rock and roll. Ubiquitous in our society, for sure, but integral parts of our culture, our identity as a community, and even this has transformed the world. And isn't it interesting to note that these innovations came because of Latter-day Saints? If you'd like to learn more about their story, and the story of so many others, you can purchase a copy of The Saints Who Built America. I'll leave a link down in the description. And know that all of your support is going to helping me get a production team so we can turn this book, this 600 pages of receipts of Latter-day Saint contributions to humanity, into a docuseries. And stay tuned, because I've got several more stories that I would love to share with you. Until next time.